Bible in a Year, episode 74. You know what I'm going to say. Like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, YouTube. At some point, I'm going to remember what I'm going to say. You know what we're talking about today? So, I know you know. Do you know what Gold's Gym is?
I do.
So, when I was in college, I lifted like a son of a gun. Like I weighed 100. When I got married, I weighed 197 pounds. I weigh 225 now, which I'm very proud of, by the way.
Should be.
But I worked hard when I was in college. I mean, I went to the gym 2 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 2 days off. Gold's Gym was a thing. It wasn't Planet Fitness.
No.
When I was in college, it was Gold's Gym.
Classic
gym. I had this shirt, the Lord's Gym. Had Samson on the front and the saying on the back, not by might nor by my power, but by my spirit.
That's awesome.
Saith the Lord. Today, we're talking about Samson. Here we go. All right. What'd you say, Tanner? 74? 74. Episode 74. Talking about Judges 12 through 15 today. Let me do one thing real quick, and then we'll jump into Samson and his story. Take a look, if you guys would. Judges 12, 1 through 7. Just super quick. The Ephraimite forces, okay, so the forces of the tribe of Ephraim, were called out, and they crossed over to Zephon. They said to Jephthah, "Why did you go to fight the Ammonites without calling us to go with you? We're going to burn down your house over your head." Whoa. Thought we were all on the same team here.
It's a mess.
Jephthah answered, "I and my people were engaged in a great struggle with the Ammonites, and although I called you, you didn't save me out of their hands. When I saw that you wouldn't help, I took my life in my hands and crossed over to fight the Ammonites, and now the Lord gave me victory over them. Now why have you come up here to fight with me today?" So what you have here, matter of fact, I should just keep reading. Jephthah then called together the men of Gilead and fought against Ephraim. The Gileadites struck them down because the Ephraimites had said that you Gileadites are renegades from Ephraim and Manasseh. You have this again. We have further division that's happening among the 12 tribes of Israel. So we talked about that a couple episodes ago, and you see another point here. It's funny. No, well, that's not funny, but it's interesting because you know what I want to do, like right now, and I know you could do this too.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Samson.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
what do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I know. That is a great question.
Yeah.
So we both said before this episode, we could talk about Samson all day.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. What do you want to talk about?
Oh, man.
Like, where should we go first with this? Tanner said we should title this episode Samson. Wow. What a knucklehead. Like, wow. One of the strongest judges in the history of Israel.
Yeah.
People still talk about Samson to this day.
His vow. I mean, you should talk about his vow. I mean, his decisions. You know,
They're terrible.
Yeah.
Like, they're terrible.
Yeah.
I want to marry a Philistine woman. What?
Yeah.
Like, if you read the book of Ezra literally pulls the hair out of his head and the hair out of his face because people are marrying foreign women. Samson is ruling Israel, again, not as an evil man. He's listed in the roll call of faith. I thought that was an important point that we made last episode.
Yeah.
Not an evil man, but he goes, I want to marry a Philistine woman.
Mm.
How'd that go for Esau? I want to marry women who are outside of God's ordination. Terrible. Samson does it, and he marries multiple Philistine women and sleeps with a prostitute. What?
Oh, yeah.
You talk about the anointing of God. This story is as much a story of grace as in anything else.
Yeah.
Samson sins and sins and sins and sins and sins and sins and sins, and the power of God remains upon him. So You tell me what stands out for you. Give me one thing. What stands out for you with Samson?
Oh gosh, I mean, I've always to come back to how you started it about the gym shirt. I've always admired Samson's physical strength. That God would equip somebody with such physical strength, and as somebody that has, taken physical fitness seriously in my life, I'll try not to cry when I say this, but one of the things that has continued to drive me forward in maintaining physical strength is that if God would ever ask me to carry people before Him, I would be able to do that. I think when you look at his life, God could have used that strength in so many amazing ways, and He did, but I'm not so sure that the strength was something that was used oftentimes as rebellion against God. And I like, as a little kid, to me, like, if you asked me, like, hey, what was the story to you as a kid that just stood out to you? It's the story of Samson. Like, when he's doing all these things and he's tying foxes together, and like, how do you do that? You know what I mean? Like,
killing 1,000 men with the jawbone of a
jawbone.
donkey.
How do you do that? How is that possible?
I know you know the answer to this, so I'm going to tee it up for you. How is it possible?
Spirit of the living
That's
God.
it, man.
It's a lot.
Pastor Daniel, how do you pray for somebody?
Spirit of God.
And they're healed.
Spirit of God.
How do you... Pastor Kevin talks about this all the time, that he won't tell you what he's preaching about. And all of a sudden you pray over him and you preach the sermon in the prayer. How do you do that?
Spirit of God.
That's it.
And I will, I like Ash Wednesday service is a great example of this. I don't even know how to fully describe this, but I can tell you there are more times than not here, specifically over the last couple years, when it comes to praying for people, the way that the Spirit of God mounts up in me, I feel like I could take foxes and tie them together. I feel like I could take a jawbone and slay enemies that come against me. Like, it's in your like, it's in my bones to feel that, right? And like, I don't mean this in a weird way, but like, how do you, like, you have to harness that. You have, like, and I don't think Samson did a great job of that. Like, you have to recognize that that's in the empowerment of God and use it for the glory of God versus, oh, I've been given something so that I can do whatever I want with it, But like that, like, there are so many times, and I've seen the same fire and passion in you. You know exactly what I mean. When you're about to pray for somebody, or you're ending a fast, or you're about to preach something that it's directly from the Lord, it's just like you're consumed by the presence of God, And I just have admired that God would use somebody in such a unique way to demonstrate who He is. We talked a couple episodes ago about the original 300, If God did that through 300 men, but man, when you look at the odds of what Samson was up against, God did that through one man, and that's just amazing.
I remember, and I won't get into this too deep because I want to make sure we touch on Samson here, specifically. But I remember the day the guy showed up here, high as high can be, and it was a safety issue. I was actually at home working at my office at the house. And Tammy called and said, hey, we got a guy, he's high, he's in there in his boxer shorts, and he's preaching in the sanctuary, and the only person he wants in the congregation is you. So we got everybody out of the building. I went into the sanctuary, and I'm not saying this sensationalized. It took 5 police officers, 3 tasers.
Yeah.
And they put him down. But somehow that day, I felt the presence. I'm going to start crying. I felt the presence of God so strongly on me that day. I was not afraid.
Yeah.
And it was so powerful. After that happened, and I knew the guy, he texted me and apologized. And when my mother died, he sent me condolences. That's powerful.
Oh,
and that ain't me.
Amazing, right?
And that ain't you.
Right.
That is the Spirit of the Almighty living God.
Yeah.
Can I share something here? I know we're going to get into Samson.
Yeah.
So I want you all to think about this. I know you know this. Rachel, barren, has Joseph and Benjamin.
That's a great point here.
Okay. Hannah, barren, has Samuel. Elizabeth, barren, has John the Baptist. Mary, potentially prepubescent, definitely a virgin, has Jesus. You know, the other woman in the Bible who is barren, who has a child, Samson's mama. She's never even named. She's known as Manoah's wife. She has Samson.
Yeah.
And God comes and meets them and says, this is what's going down.
Yeah. I think there's so many soon-to-be moms in our congregation that have been barren that need to give their time and thought to exactly what Mary did when she pondered all of these things in her heart. What will God do with that child that he's given you out of barrenness?
Well, that's the thing, and that's really the story here. Listen, how he behaves is on him, but I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do through
there
this
you
guy.
go. Beautiful.
He's the vessel.
Yep.
Samson, look, let's get past the whole good, bad, all this stuff. It's that poem I love, House by the Side of the Road by Samuel Walter Foss. Samson's good. He is bad. Guess what? So am I. So am I. I'm not sure I've done anything different than Samson did. Well, you never slept with a prostitute and you never married a Philistine woman. Okay, but I got my sin too.
Right.
And I'm used by God every single day.
Yeah.
You got your sin too. You're used by God every single day. We're not giving Samson a pass. We're not giving you a pass. We're not giving me a pass. All of sin and fallen short of the glory of God have to be accountable. And Samson, when they gouge out his eyes and he's pushing that grinding wheel, I've pondered that. I can't tell you how many times.
I mean, that is.
What was that like? You want to talk about, hey, strength made perfect in weakness? And look, I get it. Should he have killed all those people and himself at the same time? I mean, that honestly is a suicide. You know, I don't know about all that, but the reality is he came to the Lord.
Yeah.
He's listed in the roll call of faith. Everything that he once was in terms of just some reckless, lustful, sex-crazed hedonist almost, that it died.
Yeah.
At that grinding wheel.
Yeah.
It died at that grinding wheel.
What a book. I mean? There's a book in that right
you
there.
Got 3 chapters.
At the grinding wheel. Oh, my goodness.
I don't know if you remember this. I'm sure you do. But oh, my gosh. I used to teach this all the time in FCA. You remember this? Okay. Hold on. I'm short.
Well,
it's next. It's next.
Next
it's
episode.
Next,
right.
It's the next.
Save it.
I wasn't even paying attention.
You have to save it.
All right. Okay, we're done. Next episode. All right. It's Judges 16. I wasn't even paying attention what chapters because I mean literally
14. Yeah.
Samson, man.
Yeah, I mean,
Samson.
but think about what you're saying. Like, and I think this is inside. This isn't directly related to the conversation we're having, but man, it's directly related. You know, we're not ranking sin here.
No.
Man, if you get in the business of doing that, that's a slippery slope too. Sin is sin. Come on, like let's confess it.
Yeah, my sin ain't as bad as your
sin.
Yeah,
like, oh, I didn't do what Samson did. Oh, I'm a sinner. I sinned. You know what I mean? Like,
I heard Tony Evans say once, if sin is a chain, and that chain is hanging over a 1,000,000-mile deep cliff and crevice, and you're at the end of that chain hanging over there, and that chain's the only thing that's keeping you from falling, and that chain is made of big fat links and teeny tiny skinny links. Some are massive and some are the smallest of the small. How many of those links have to break in order for you to start falling? It doesn't matter whether it's a big link or a small link.
Just one.
It just takes one and you're falling.
That's right.
And that's how we have to see sin.
Yeah.
And so it's easy to look at Samson and go, oh, yeah, he slept with a prostitute and he ate honey out of a lion's carcass.
Right.
And, you know, he lied here and he killed here and he walked away from this woman and he did this and he did that. Matter of fact, he murdered too. That might have been sin. Who knows? Wait a minute.
Right.
Wait a minute.
Right.
All have sinned and fallen
Yeah.
short of the glory of
Yeah.
God.
And I mean, clearly God's anointed here. You know what I mean?
My gosh.
So
Huge. All right, guys, that's it. We're coming back tomorrow. As Paul, do you know who Paul Harvey is?
yes.
We'll tell you the rest of the story tomorrow. God bless you guys. We'll see you tomorrow.